We are Team 4, and we are presenting Las Vegas Sands Corp. I'm Sophia Day, Ruben Rosales, Yu Ting Lin, and Saul Trujillo will be presenting with me. So for our agenda, we're first going to cover their hotel positioning within the other hotels on the Strip, the casino industry in Las Vegas, the financial analysis of the Las Vegas Sands Corp hotels and their competitors, the effect of free parking on visitors as well as residents, the pros and cons of free parking, and we will end with our recommendations.
So I will now be talking about the positioning of the Las Vegas Sands Hotel. The Sands Corporation is a major player on the Strip and owns the Palazzo, the Venetian Hotel and Casino, and Sands Expo and Convention Center, which in the early 1990s was the second largest convention center in the world. The accommodations throughout the properties include gaming, dining, retail, and entertainment. In 2015, Sands emphasized their convention and trade show segments, and that led to over 70% of the revenue coming from room, food, and beverage. Now I will talk about the casino industry in Las Vegas. The Las Vegas Strip relies heavily on gambling to be a main source of its revenue. In 2016, the gaming revenue accounted for $6.3 billion. The major players on the Strip are MGM, Caesars Entertainment, Wynn, and Sands. All own properties that have over 1,000 slots and have playing tables from as little as 40 to almost 240. As of recent, gambling numbers have been declining due to the interest of visitors changing. People want to now spend more time doing outside activities in or around the Las Vegas area.
For our financial analysis, we will look at Las Vegas Sands Corp and their hotels amongst one another, as well as the financial industry amongst the competitors. So first we see that a lot of the hotels follow this three-pronged pricing structure. First, you have the published room charge, the resort fee, and the parking fee. For many, this could seem like a lot and overwhelming and like they're spending a lot of money because they're paying all different kinds of bills. So we found that if the parking fee is cut out by the Las Vegas Sands Corp, maybe that will make the consumer feel that they are spending less and feel more comfortable wanting to stay at that hotel. We found that when we looked at Las Vegas Sands Corp, their revenues were actually declining, it looked like, amongst the years within their own hotels. So that would be the Palazzo and the Venetian. We found that it could possibly be because they have fewer amenities compared to some of the other hotels. But we found that when we looked at their position amongst the other competitors, they were actually doing much better. So we figured maybe it is because of the free parking that they are more successful. Maybe people do feel like they're getting more value staying at a hotel that doesn't charge for parking versus the other hotels who just add one more fee onto that list of bills.
Free parking effect ambassadors. Free parking policy will attract more consumers because they will relatively cost less compared to the cost in other hotels. Free parking will encourage consumers to spend more on gaming and dining since the parking is free. Since they will already have an extra charge as resort fee, the introduction of paid parking policy represents a great cost to them. Therefore, free parking will attract more consumers because they will relatively cost less compared to the cost in other hotels, and free parking will encourage consumers to spend more on game and dining since the parking is free. And then free parking effect on revenues. traditional free parking policy will make residents see it as a sign of long-standing traditional. Free parking will result in increased attractiveness and revenue of hotels and revenue. The introduction of paid parking policy on the strip drought intense criticisms from residents, which make them think it is a removal of long-standing traditional. The tradition let the locals have a right. Therefore, the act of free parking will maintain its traditional and make residents happy. Then more and more free parking will result in increasing revenue of hotels and revenue by attract more residents to come to the hotel. And the resident view of the tourism interested. Free parking, in fact, will make residents hold a positive impression and attitude on the tourism because the increased number of tourists didn't change the long-term stand traditional. Free parking, in fact, will also make residents hold a positive impression and attitude on the tourism because increased number of tourists didn't make them cost more on the parking, but also contributing to the local economic.
Now we will transition to the pros and cons for charging for parking. I will begin first with the pros for charging for parking. The first pro would be that the hotels would be able to charge for two-tiered parking with higher end hotels, which means, for example, if Las Vegas Sands could charge a higher price at their hotels like the Palazzo and the Venetian, but could charge a lower price for the Sands Expo and Convention Center. The second pro would be that charging for parking would help the hotel stay competitive with the other hotels and parking fees. The third pro would be that it would help the hotel by generating additional revenue. Now is the cons for charging for parking. The first con is that the residents of Las Vegas and tourists see the charging for parking scheme by hotels as a money grab, where they believe the hotels rather care about their profit than the satisfaction of their customers. The second con is that visitors staying at these hotels, they do not want to pay an additional parking fee on top of the mandatory resort fee already with the booking rate of the hotel room. The visitors already believe that the resort fees are inflated. The third con would be that hotels would have a pricing game situation on which hotel would charge the parking fees the lowest but increase room rates, or increase parking rates but lower room costs.
So for our final recommendations, first and foremost, we recommend to not change the free parking in order to keep the tradition and maintain the customer relationships and trust. In the TED Talk that was in this module, Guy Kawasaki talks about being innovative, and one of the topics he touches on is making meaning. So we felt that this is their way of making meaning by staying with the tradition and not seeming like they're money hungry and just in it for the revenue, but rather they really care about the visitors and residents that come to their hotels and do not want to add an additional burden to them. And they want to keep Las Vegas a place where people can still come and enjoy their time and not feel like it's some unaffordable, unattainable vacation that they can no longer enjoy. Another idea we thought of is if you park at the Las Vegas Sands Corp location, if you're a visitor, you get a $5 play card, which can be used in the casinos, basically like a swipe card. They have them at a lot of different, I feel like, gaming places such as Dave & Buster's, and I'm sure they would have them at a lot of casinos today, as it seems like that's where it's evolving. You kind of get like almost a plastic credit card, and that's where your points accumulate. So we feel like if we can entice visitors by giving them $5 to park there for free and locals get it for $10, then not only are you gaining free parking, but you're also getting additional value out of the experience, which would bring customers to the hotel. This also encourages further spending because now they have free money essentially that they want to go spend within the hotels. This brings them on property, gets them in the hotels, gets them spending, and will hopefully keep the revenue and the good experience at these hotels going so people will want to return. Lastly, I don't know if this is something that has already been done because I've seen different types of hotels position it in different ways, but we felt like if you can include the resort fee in the room fee and make it more of an all-inclusive price so that they're not hitting costs, it would appeal better to the customer. Although it may be an initial higher cost, they wouldn't be surprised upon arrival thinking that they have to pay more than what they were expecting. So I think some hotels do make it an all-inclusive price, or they advertise different prices, or you can always call to get the full price. But we felt like if they standardize this and follow this format and just make it so that everything is all up front, it would be parallel to keeping the tradition and maintaining that customer trust, and hopefully bring back future and loyal customers that would respect them for not trying to play the money game. That is our presentation, and thank you so much for your time.